So first of all, I'm going to show you the demo of the project. So here you can see that this is a main page of our project. So here you can see that first of all, there is a navbar. The navbar contains a text that is Flipkart explores. And after that, you can see there is a search bar. Then you can see a sign in button. So below this navbar, you can see there is a menu bar which contains the electronics, clothing, fashion, and women. And after that, you can see that there is a slider, okay, which slides automatically in infinite. Then below that, you can see there is a home section which contains the cards of the product. Okay. So below that, you can see a footer section. Okay. That's like this way. So next, I'm going to do is I'm going to click one of the card. At that time, you can see that we will be redirected to the details section. Here is the details of the product like description, rating, title, category, image, price, title, etc. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the electronics in the menu bar. At that time, electronic products will be listed. Then I am going to click on clothing. The clothes are listed. Then I'm going to click on fashion. At that time, the jewelry items are listed. And I'm going to click on this woman menu. At that time, you can see that the clothes related to women are listed. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this Flipkart text. At that time, all of these products are listed again. Then next I'm going to search for a particular product. So I'm going to search for this first product. You can see that here is the title. So we are going to search based on the title. So I'm going to give as FJALL. So at the time you can see that the product is listed as like this way. So the search bar is functioning. Then next I'm going to click on the sign in button. At that time we will be redirected to this sign in page. Here I'm going to do is I'm going to select my country. Then I am going to give the phone number. After that, I'm going to click on the request OTP button. Then I'm not a robot section will be appeared, and here I'm going to click on this empty section. The next I'm going to do is an OTP will be arrived to our phone number. I'm going to enter the OTP as like this way. Then when we enter the OTP, there is verify OTP button. I'm going to click on the verify OTP button. At that time, you will be redirected to this main page. Here you can see it signed in successfully. So here there is no sign in button in the navbar. It is changed to logout button. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this logout button. At that time you can see that the user will be logged out and it is showing as logged out successfully. So now you can see that here is sign in button. So this is the project that we are going to create.
If this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel.
First of all, I'm going to create a new TypeScript React.js project. So for that, I'm going to type TypeScript create React app and I'm going to click on this first link. From here, I'm going to copy this command and I'm going to run that command in the project. So now the new TypeScript React.js project will be created. So the project has been created. I'm going to run the project. So now you can see that this is the new project that we have created. Here is app.tsx. Okay. So next I'm going to do is to remove all the boilerplate codes like logos, app.test, etc. from these public and source folders. Okay. So after that, I'm going to do is I'm going to change or remove the section of this index.tsx, these two sections. And next, I'm going to change the app.tsx as like this way. So now you can see that here is the project. So next, I'm going to search for the Flipkart website. So here I'm going to click on this first link. And next, I'm going to click on this sign in button in this navbar. Okay, so here you can see that this is a structure. So next I'm going to create a new folder that is components, and inside this components folder, I'm going to create a new file or new component that is signin.tsx. So here I am going to give as sign in, and I'm going to call this sign in component in app.tsx as like this way. So now you can see that here is sign in. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to install Tailwind CSS into our project. So for that I'm going to give as Tailwind CSS create React app. And here I am going to, we have done these two steps. So I'm going to copy, or I'm going to run this npm install Tailwind CSS in new terminal. So now Tailwind will be installed into our project. Okay, Tailwind has been installed into our project. So next I'm going to copy and paste or run this command in our terminal. Okay, so now you can see that a new file called the tailwind.config.js has been created. So in this file, next we have to do is to copy this string from here and to paste it in the content section of this tailwind.config.js. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this 3 line of code and I'm going to paste that in the index.css. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this h1 tag from here in this sign in component as like this way. Okay. So now you can see that as of now the tailwind is not working. So I'm going to do is to terminate and I'm going to run the project once again. So now you can see that here I'm also giving the text color to red. So at the time you can see that here it is working but fine. It is showing the red color and underline. Okay, fine. So now you can see that in the login section or in the sign in page, they are divided into two parts. So I am going to remove this h1 tag first. And here I am going to give the class name. So inside this class name, I am going to give the grid, or I am going to use the grid for dividing it into two parts, two column. Okay. So two div I am going to use. And in the first div, I am going to give the blue color as like this way. Blue color, title, text, image. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to give the class name, and here I'm going to give as background to blue. Next, I'm going to give as height screen, and after that, I'm going to give as width 11 by 12. So now you can see the structure, or 10 by 12. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So here I am going to give the title, that is login. So I am going to use the h1 tag. I'm going to give as login. Then next I am going to give as class name here. Here I am going to give text to white. And after that I'm going to, you can see that here is a structure. So next I'm going to do is to give another style, that is font semi bold. So this is the structure as of now. Next I'm going to give as text, that is 3xl. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to copy and paste that text. So here I'm going to give as h1 tag again, and inside this h1 tag I'm going to copy and paste this text as like this way. Okay, and next I'm going to give a class name also. So here I'm going to give as class name text gray 200. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a padding here for this first div, and after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give a style for this h1 tag, that is padding top for about 5. And next I'm going to do is to give the size of the text, that is text hyphen large. Okay, so now you can see that we have given the title of the login and also the text. So next I'm going to do is to give that image. So for that I'm going to create a new folder called images, and inside this folder I am going to import that image from my system. So I am going to import these images image into this images folder. That is the home.jpg. Okay. So next I'm going to import that image into this sign in component as like this way. That is /images/home.jpg, and I am going to use that in this image tag, that is source home. Okay, so now you can see that the picture or image as like this way here. Okay, so next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a class name for this image tag, and inside this class name I'm going to do is to give that is margin top, and I'm going to give a width. So here you can see that the structure of this image as of now. Okay, so next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a margin left also. So this is the structure. So next I'm going to change this margin top and the padding also. And I'm going to change this margin left also slightly. Okay. So now you can see that this is the structure of the left portion of the login page. So now you can see that this is the right portion of the login section. So here you can see an input field, a text, a button, and a text in the bottom. So I'm going to do is I'm going to use the input field or text field from the Tailwind. Okay. So here I'm going to click on this first link. Then here you can see that they have given different designs of a text field or input field. So from that I'm going to select the basic input field. So I'm going to copy this input and to paste it in the second div as like this way. So here I'm going to bring some changes. That is, I'm going to give the end portion, and I'm going to change this class into class name, and I'm going to remove this ID type. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this dark focus, dark border, dark placeholder, dark background. Okay, fine. So after that, I'm going to give a width. I have reduced the width, and I'm going to remove this blue colored section and also this rounded hyphen large. Here I'm going to give as text large. Okay. So now you can see the structure of this input field as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give as border bottom, that is border hyphen b hyphen 2. Okay. So this is the structure as of now. Then after that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this background gray, and here I am going to give as outline to none. Okay. So there is no outline when we click on the input field. Then after that I'm going to remove this border gray. Here I am going to give a class name for this div, that is padding. This is a structure. So after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give the placeholder, that is enter mobile number. So here you can see the placeholder as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give the width, that is 11 by 12. Then after that I'm going to remove this border. We only need border bottom too. Okay, fine. So this text field design is completed. So next I'm going to do is to give the text as like that of here. So I'm going to copy this text completely from here and to paste it in the h1 tag after this input field. Okay, as like this way. So next I'm going to do is to give this span for this terms of use and privacy policy also. Here for privacy policy also, I am going to give a span as like this way. So after that, I am going to do is I'm going to give a class name for the span also. So in the span, I am going to give the class name that is text blue. So I'm going to copy this class name from here and to paste it in the second span also. So now you can see that the structure of this text is like this way. Okay. Then next I'm going to do is I'm going to give the class name for this h1 tag. So in this class name, I am going to give the color of the text, that is text hyphen gray 300 or 500. So this is a structure as of now. So next I am going to give as text size as like this way. Okay, fine. So this is a structure. So after that, I'm going to do is to give the margin top also. Okay. So after that, I'm going to use a button from the Tailwind. So I am going to search as Tailwind button, Tailwind CSS button, and I'm going to click on the second link from here. And here you can see that I'm going to copy the basic button from here, and I'm going to paste it after this text or h1 tag as like this way. So here I am going to bring some changes, that is I'm going to change this class into class name. Okay. So next I'm going to do is here you can see that this is the structure of the button as of now. So next I'm going to give the color, that is I'm going to change the color to orange. So here I'm going to give as background orange. Okay. So next I'm going to copy this width from this text field or input field, and I'm going to paste it in this class name of button. So here you can see that the button as like this way. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is to change this background orange. Okay, fine. So after that, I'm going to remove that rounded style in the class name of the button here. Okay. And I'm going to remove that hover style, and I'm going to give an height. Then next I'm going to give a margin top. Okay. So this is the structure of the button as of now. So I am going to give the name of the button as request OTP. So next I'm going to give the text in the bottom. So after this button request OTP, I'm going to use the h1 tag, and in the h1 tag, I'm going to give as login from here, and I'm going to give the class name that is text blue, text hyphen blue. As like this way. So now you can see that the structure. Then here I'm going to give as the text to sender. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a margin top also. So here this is a structure, and I'm going to give the font that is semi bold. This is a structure of our login page as of now. So next I'm going to do is to use the React font input 2 for creating an input field with the country code selection. Okay, so for that I'm going to search as React font input 2, and I'm going to click on this npm, and here I'm going to copy this command from here. After that, I'm going to run this command in the new terminal of our project. So now the React font input 2 will be installed into our project. Okay, it has been installed. We can see that in the package.json as like this way. So next I'm going to do is, here you can see that in the example, we have to use the font input component in our project. So I'm going to copy this font input and paste it in our project. So before that, I'm going to comment the input field that we have already used And instead of that input field, I'm going to use the font input component as like this way. So now we have to bring some changes here. First of all, we have to import that font input component into this as like this way. Okay, so we have imported the font input component. Next I'm going to do is to remove this section. Here I'm going to give as font for the value, and I'm going to give, or I'm going to change this as set to font instead of set to state, and I'm going to remove this curly braces. Okay. After that, I'm going to define the state, that is const font set to font, which is equal to use state with the empty string. Okay. So now the error has gone. So now you can see that the input field as like this way. So next I'm going to do is to give or copy and paste the style for this input field. So here you can see that in the example, here is the style of the input field. So I'm going to copy and paste this style here in this component as like this way. So now you can see that the structure of the input field as like this. So we have to bring some changes in this style. So for that I am going to give the prop, that is input style as like this way. So here I am going to give the first style as width, that is width colon 510 px. So now you can see that the width of this input field as like this way. Okay, fine. So next I am going to do is to give the style, that is I am going to remove the border top and border right. So before that I am going to give the placeholder, that is enter mobile number. Then after that I am going to give the style, that is border top 1px border top and 1px border right. Actually, I am giving this style for removing the border top and border right, and only giving the border bottom. So now you can see that the structure of the input field as like this way. Okay, the same as like that of the Flipkart original sign in page input field. Okay, so next I'm going to remove this commanded input field from here. Okay, so here from here we can select the countries from the list as like this way. Okay, fine. Next I'm going to do is to give the functionality for this sign in page. So for that I'm going to use the Firebase phone authentication. So I'm going to search for Firebase. I'm going to click on this link and we will be redirected to this section. From here I'm going to click on the get started button. Next I'm going to add a new project and I'm going to click, or I'm going to give the name of the project as Flipkart clone. After that, I'm going to click on continue, and next I'm going to disable this analytics section. Then next I'm going to click on the create project. So now a new project is created. I'm going to click on the continue button. You can see that we will be redirected to the console of our project. In that console, you can see there is three icons: iOS, Android, and web. So from that, I am going to click on the web icon. And next, as a first step, we have to register our app. So for that, I'm going to give the name of the app as Flipkart clone itself. After that, I'm going to click on the register app button. Then as a second step, we have to install the Firebase into our project. As I'm using npm, I'm going to copy this command from here and to run that command in the terminal as like this way. So now Firebase has been installed into our project. So we can see that in the package.json. Okay. So next I'm going to do is, here in the documentation, you can see that as a second step, we have to use this code completely from here. So I'm going to copy that code and to paste it in the project. So for that, I'm going to create a new folder. That is, I'm going to give the name of the folder as Firebase itself. Okay. So next I'm going to do is in the Firebase folder, I'm going to create a new file called setup.js, and I have pasted that code here. So next I'm going to remove all the commands from here for making it more clear. Okay. So here you can see that there is a Firebase config. Inside that Firebase config, you can see that there is API key, auth domain, project ID, etc. We don't want to bring any changes to Firebase config, so I have minimized that. You can see that they have initialized this by importing the initialize app from Firebase app. So the first thing that we have to do is next, after using this, I'm going to click on the continue to console, and here you can see that in the left side sidebar there is a build button. So we have to click on this build button. In that build button, you can see authentication, Firebase, database, etc. So I am going to click on this authentication. Next, I am going to click on this get started button. Then you can see that we have redirected to the sign in method section of this authentication. So from that, you can see that there is native providers, additional providers, custom providers, etc. So we are using the phone authentication. So I am going to click on this phone icon here. Next, I am going to enable this by clicking here, and I'm going to click on the save button. So now you can see that the font is enabled. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to the project setup.js file, and in the setup.js file we need to import a function. That is, we have to import a function from Firebase auth. So the function that we have to import from the Firebase auth is get auth function. Okay. So after importing this get auth function, we have to define a new variable. So I'm going to give the name of the variable as auth, and I'm going to assign this get auth into the auth as like this way. So next I have done is I have passed the app as an argument. So after that I'm going to do is we have to pass this app as an argument for when we are using this authentication or Firestore, etc. Okay, to this function as an argument. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to export this auth variable for using it in other files. So now we can use this auth in other files also. So I'm going to the sign in component, and in the sign in component, we have to use that auth. So first of all, I'm going to define a function. So I'm going to give the name of the function as a request OTP, which is an arrow function. And inside this function, I'm going to do is I'm going to define a new variable. So I'm going to give the name of the variable as reCAPTCHA. And next, I'm going to use the reCAPTCHA verifier from Firebase. So I have imported the reCAPTCHA verifier from the Firebase. So after that, I'm going to do is we have to pass 2 to 3 arguments into this reCAPTCHA verifier. So I'm going to pass the first argument as auth. Then second argument, I'm going to pass a random string. So I'm going to give as reCAPTCHA. So this is because then third argument, I have passed an empty object. Okay, I have imported the auth from setup.js. Here you can see that we have given reCAPTCHA as the second argument. It is for giving an ID for the div. That means we have to create a div, or we have to use a div for showing the I am not a robot section. And in this ID, we have to copy and paste this second argument that we have given to the reCAPTCHA verifier. Okay, as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to define a new variable. So I'm going to give the name of the variable as confirmation. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to assign the sign in with the phone number function to this confirmation variable as like this way. Okay. So into this sign in with the phone number, I am passing or I am giving 3 arguments. So the first argument I am giving is auth, second phone, and third that reCAPTCHA that we have already defined in this function. Okay. So after that, I'm going to do is I'm going to define a state that is user, and I'm going to pass this confirmation to that state. So here I'm going to give as null, and I'm going to pass the confirmation to the state user as like this way. Then next I'm going to do is I'm going to here you can see that they are showing an error that is in the confirmation. So we have to give the type. Okay. Next I'm going to do is to call this function in this button request OTP on click as like this way. And after that, I'm going to do is here after this div or below this div, I'm going to use an input field. So for that, I'm going to use the input field from the Tailwind itself. So I'm going to click on this link, and from here, I'm going to select the basic first input field that we have already used. So I'm going to copy this input field from here, and I'm going to paste it below this div as like this way. So we have to bring some changes. So here I'm going to give the end portion, and next I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this type and ID from here and to replace this class with the class name. Okay. So next I'm going to do is here you can see that the input field is like this way. So next I'm going to bring some changes. I'm going to first remove this dark border, dark background. So before that, I'm going to change the width from full to 11 by 12. So now you can see that the width is like that of the button request OTP. So next I'm going to remove this or I'm going to change this placeholder that is enter OTP. After that, I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this dark placeholder, dark border, dark background, etc. And also I'm removing this focus section, blue color section as like this way. Next I'm going to do is I have given outline none. I have changed the border and next I have given margin top as like this way. So now you can see that the structure. Next I'm going to remove this rounded large. We don't want the rounded style. Then I'm going to remove this background color. Okay, fine. So this is the input field that we have to enter the OTP. So next I'm going to do is to copy this button from here and to paste it below this input field as like this way. So now you can see that here is a button below this input field. So here it is a request OTP. Then a div will be arrived for I am not a robot section and we have to enter the OTP. Then we have to click on this verify OTP button. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to define a new function that is verify OTP, which is an arrow function as like this way. So before defining this function or before giving this functionality, I'm going to give the async for the request OTP function, async await and try catch. And here in the catch, I'm giving the console.error that is error, and I'm going to copy and paste or cut and paste this section and to put it in the try. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to use the user state. The user state contains a confirm function. So I have called that confirm function. So into this confirm function, I'm going to pass an argument. So I'm going to pass the OTP. Okay. So we have to define the state. So I'm going to give the name of the state that is OTP, set OTP, which is equal to use state empty string. And next I'm going to do is I'm going to use the set OTP in the on change of the input field of enter OTP as like this way. So here, next we have to give the e.target.value to this set OTP by taking the event. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this verify OTP and to paste it in this verify OTP button as like this way. After that, I'm going to do is to give the async await and try catch for this function verify OTP as like this way. So here in this catch, I am going to give as catch error console.error and I'm going to pass this into this try. Okay, fine. Next, I'm going to do is to define a variable that is data and as I'm assigning this user.confirm into it and I'm going to log that data in the console. So now you can see that I'm going to take the console. After that, I'm going to select the country and I'm going to enter my phone number. Next, I'm going to click on this request OTP button and here comes the I'm not a robot div. So I'm going to give a class name for this div that is margin top. So I'm going to give as margin top for as like this way. So now you can see the structure as like this. So I'm going to click on this empty section. So here I'm going to fill this and I'm going to click on the verify. Okay. So after clicking verify, you can see that here it is showing an error. So this error is based on the phone number that we have given. That means here we have to pass along with this phone state a plus symbol as like this way. So as of now, when we console this phone input, there will be a plus. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to select the country once more and I'm going to give my phone number as like this way. After that, I'm going to click on the request OTP button. At the time, you can see that the I am not a robot section and I'm going to click on the empty section. So here now an OTP has came. So I'm going to enter that OTP in this enter OTP input field and I'm going to click on verify OTP. So now you can see that in the console there is the data that we have logged as like this way. So in that data you can see that there is a user. So in the user there is the phone number. So from that we can understand that the user is logged in. Okay, we can give that in conditionally. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a height, change a height. So here we have given the height as green for this first div. So I have given it full. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this margin top of this login from here text. So here I'm going to give as margin top or I'm going to reduce as the margin top as like this way. I'm giving as 28. Okay, so now you can see the login from here text. So next I'm going to give a conditions for this input field and verify OTP button. So here you can see that there is only an input field and a button. So I'm going to give the condition for these two. So here I'm going to give the condition that is phone. If phone state is there, then we have to show that input field of enter OTP. Like that, I'm going to give the condition for this button that is if OTP is there, then we have to show this button. So now you can see that it is showing the enter OTP input and also the verify OTP button. So here you can see that in the original Flipkart website, this is the home page. This home page is divided into four parts: a nav bar, a menu bar, a welcome bar section, and a home section with the cards of the products. So first of all, I'm going to create the navbar. So for that, I'm going to create a new component called navbar.tsx. Inside that component, I'm now giving the navbar. Next, I'm going to do is to create a new component called main component, main.tsx. And inside this main component, I'm going to call the navbar component. Then next I'm going to do is in the app component, I'm going to comment the sign in and I'm going to call the main component as like this way. So now here you can see that here is the navbar. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this navbar into two parts. So for that I'm going to use the grid from the Tailwind and I'm going to give as class name for this navbar div here. And inside this class name, I am going to give the or use the grid from Tailwind for dividing it into two columns. So I am going to use div for each column. So here you can see that in the first column, I am going to give the text Flipkart and explores. So for that, I am going to use the h1 tag in the first div or first column. And in the h1 tag, I am going to give as Flipkart. Then next I am going to use another h1 tag and inside that h1 tag I am going to give as explores. And in the first h1 tag I am going to give as class name that is text blue 700. After giving the color of the text I am going to give as text to Excel and font bold. Here I am going to give as font text to Excel itself. So here you can see that the structure of the text. The next I am going to do is I am going to give here italic style. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to give the class name for the second h1 tag. So in that class name, I am going to give as a text gray. That is the color as gray hyphen. So now you can see that the structure of this text explores. And after that, I am going to give as italic. The next I am going to do is I am going to change this h1 tag and I'm going to give as I'm going to change it to h4 tag as like this way. So now you can see that here is the text Flipkart and explores. Okay, fine. So next you can see that after this text, here is the text field. So I'm going to use another div and inside that div, I'm going to use the image tag. So in the image tag, I'm going to use the source attribute. So inside the source attribute, I'm going to give the image. So for that, I'm going to import an image from my system into this images folder. So I'm going to import this image into navbar component, that is import lens from images slash lens dot png, and I'm going to use that lens image into this source attribute as like this. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a class name for this image tag also, and here I'm going to give the width and height as like this way. So now you can see that the structure of that lens icon here. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to use the input tag as like this way. So I am going to use the input tag from the Tailwind CSS. So for that, here you can see that this is the basic input they have given. So I'm going to copy this input from here completely and to paste it as like this way below this image tag. The next I'm going to give as the end portion, and I'm going to change this class into class name. And after that, I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this ID and type from here. And you can see that they have given dark and blue colored sections. So I'm going to remove first this dark from here as like this way. And next I'm going to remove this focus blue colored section. Okay, fine. So now you can see that the structure of this input field. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is here I'm going to change the placeholder. So here you can see that search for products, brands, and more is the placeholder of the text field. So I'm going to give as a search for products, comma brands, and more. Okay. So now you can see that we have given the placeholder also. Okay, fine. So after that, I'm going to do is I'm going to give this style. That is, I'm going to remove the border completely from here. So now you can see that the border has gone. So next I'm going to give a color, background color for the text field. So I'm going to give a background color that is blue 50. So now you can see the text field color as like that of the navbar, original navbar. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give or I'm going to copy this same background color and give to the div as like this way. So after that, I'm going to give a flex here for making it in the same line. And the next, I'm going to give as item to sender. So at that time, you can see the structure as like this way. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give as padding as like this way. Then after that, I'm going to remove the padding that they have already given. So here you can see that they have already given a padding for the input field 2.5. So I have removed that. So now you can see that the structure of our text field as like this way. So here I am going to change this padding again. Then next I am going to do is here you can see that I am going to give as margin left for this input field, and also I am going to change the size of the text to Excel. Then next I am going to change the padding again. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to use a div again. So inside this div, I'm going to cut this h1 tag and h4 tag and I'm going to put that there. Okay. So next I'm going to do is to give a class name for this div in the left side as flux. So this is a structure as of now. So then I'm going to do is I'm going to give a width full for the div of this text field as like this way. Then next I'm going to give that is class name for the div which contains h1 tag and h4 tag, and here I am going to give as margin left like this way. So now you can see the structure as like this, and next I am going to do is to give the margin left for this div also, the div of text field as like this way. After that I am going to give a padding for the main div of this navbar. Next I am going to give rounded large for the div of this text field as like this way. Okay, fine. Next, I am going to give margin left for this image tag. So next I am going to do is I am going to give this right section here. So for that, I am going to import three images into this images folder from my system. So I am going to import these three images. So before that, I am going to rename it as user cart, and after that, I am going to import these three images into this images folder of our project. So next I am going to import these images from this images folder into the navbar component as import seller from images slash seller dot png. Then next I am going to import a user from images slash user dot png. After that I am going to import cart from images slash cart.png. Okay, fine. So we have imported three images into this navbar component. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to use or give div tag as like this way. So inside this div tag, I'm going to use the image tag and I am going to give source attribute. So inside the source attribute, first I am going to give as a seller image. After that, I am going to use h1 tag. So here you can see that the image of seller. So here you can see it has become a seller. So I am going to give here as become a seller. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this div for 2 times. So now I'm going to give here as user. After that, I'm going to give here as cart. So now you can see that here it has sign in and in this h1 tag, I am giving cart. So now you can see the structure of this as like this way. So we have to reduce the size of this image. So for that, I am going to give a class name for this image tag. So in this class name, I am going to give as width. Okay, fine. So next, I am going to copy and paste this class name for other image tag also, and you can see the structure. And next I'm going to give the class name for this div, that is flux. So this is the structure as of now. After that, I'm going to do is I'm going to give a class name for each div, that is flux, and I'm going to copy and paste. So now you can see that the structure of the first div. The next I'm going to copy and paste this class name flex to other div also. So at the time you can see that the structure as like this way. So next I'm going to do is to give height also, the same height for each image tag as like this way. Okay, fine. So now you can see that the structure of this image tag or become a seller, sign in and cart in the right section as like this. So what next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a style, that is item center, for this main div. Okay. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a margin left also. So here I'm going to give as margin left for this div, that is margin left as like this way. So I'm going to copy and paste this class name completely with the flux and margin left for other div as like this way. So now you can see that this structure of this navbar. Okay, fine. So here you can see the structure as of now. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a logout section also, logout button. So for that, before that, I have changed this margin left. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to import these images from my system to this images folder, and I'm going to rename it as out. And next I'm going to do is I'm going to import this image into the navbar component, that is out from images slash out. Okay, fine. So now you can see that we have imported the image into the navbar component, and I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste it div again, and here I'm going to give as a log out, and I'm going to use the image out. Okay, fine. So now you can see the image here and a log out. So next what I'm going to do is here you can see the structure as like this way. So I am going to do is to give a class name for the h1 tag, and I'm going to give the margin left. So I'm going to copy and paste this class name to all other h1 tag also. So now you can see the structure of the navbar as like this way. Fine. So next I'm going to do is to install React Router DOM into our project. So for that I'm going to take the new terminal, and here I'm going to run the command npm install React Router DOM. So now React Router DOM will be installed into our project. So React Router DOM has been installed into our project. You can see that in the package.json. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to take the index.tsx, and in the index.tsx, I'm going to wrap the app component using browser router component from the React router DOM. So I have imported the browser router from React router DOM and wrapped the app component using browser router as like this way. So next I'm going to do is to take the app.tsx, and inside this app component, I'm going to import routes from React router DOM, and I'm going to use this routes to wrap the route component from the React router DOM. So here I am going to import route also, and next I am going to use the route component for giving route to each component in our project. So here in the first route, I am going to use the path props in the route component, that is, and next in the element props, I am going to give the component, that is main. Next, I am going to remove this main component from here, and after that, I am going to use the one more route component from the React router DOM as like this way. And here I am going to give a slash sign in for the sign in component. And I'm going to remove this commented sign in component from here. So now you can see that we have given the route for the two components. After that, I'm going to do is I'm going to use the link component in the navbar component as like this way. So here you can see that this is the div for signing, and I'm going to wrap this div using link component from the React router DOM. So here next I'm going to do is after wrapping this div using this link, I'm going to import that link from React router DOM. So I have imported the link from React router DOM. Then next I'm going to give the two props here, that is slash sign in. So now you can see that I'm going to click on the sign in button in the navbar. At that time you will be redirected to the sign in page as like this way. So next I'm going to give the functionality for this logout button. So for that I'm going to define a new function in the navbar component. So here I'm going to define a new function called logout as an arrow function, and I'm going to use the sign out function from the Firebase. So I have imported the sign out from Firebase. Next, I'm going to give async await and also the try catch. So here I'm going to give as async await try catch error, that is console.error, the error, and I'm going to cut this sign out function from here and to paste it in the try as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give an argument into this sign out function, that is auth. We have already defined the auth. They have expected one arguments. So we have to pass the auth that we have already defined in the setup file. Okay. Then next I'm going to call this logout function in the div, that is logout div. So you can see that this is the logout div. So I'm going to call that logout function in the on click of this div as like this way. So we have done the logout functionality. So next I'm going to do is to create another component. So here I'm going to create the component named home.tsx. Home component home.tsx as like this way. Then next I'm going to do is to call this home component in the main component below the navbar. So we have already called the navbar in this main component. So here I am going to call the home component also within this main component as like this way. So here I have divided this main component into two parts, two rows. So I have divided that into two rows by using two div as like this way. In the first div I have given the navbar, and in the second div I am going to give the home component as like this way. So next I'm going to do is to give the home in the home component. Here in the home component I'm going to give as home. Now you can see that here is the home component as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Tailwind CSS card, and I'm going to click on this link. So here you can see that the basic card. So I'm going to select this basic card, the first card from this website. So I'm going to copy this code from here and to paste it in the home component as like this way. So after that I'm going to do is to convert this class, whole class into class name as like this way. Then after that I'm going to do is to give the end portion of the image tag as like this. Okay, so now you can see that the error has gone. So when we take the browser, you can see the card here in the home component. So next I'm going to do is to use a fake store API for getting the products. So I'm going to click on this first link, and here you can see that we can use this example code. So I'm going to copy that example code from here and to create a new function or define a new function called get products, an arrow function. And after that I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that which I have copied from the website. Okay, so now you can see that I'm going to define a new state, that is products, set products, which is equal to use state empty array. So next I'm going to copy and paste this set products instead of this console.log. So before that I'm going to import the use state from the React as like this way. Then I'm going to pass the JSON into the products state as like this way. So after that, I'm going to do is to call this get products inside the use effect hook. So I'm going to give here async await and try catch. So inside this catch, I'm going to give the console.error, and inside this try, I'm going to give the API call. That is, I'm going to cut this portion and to paste it in the try as like this way. So after that, I'm going to call the get products function inside the use effect. So for that, I'm going to define the use effect hook as like this way, and I'm going to call this, or I'm going to import this use effect hook from React as like this way. So I'm going to copy and paste it here. Then next I'm going to call the get products function inside this use effect definition as like this. Okay. So after that I'm going to console this products state. So I'm going to give as console.log products. So in the console you can see that I'm taking the console as like this way. And here in the console you can see that I'm going to refresh the page. So here you can see that the details of a particular products. We only get the particular products in here as single product. So that is because we have given here that /1. So I'm going to give as products only. So now you can see that there is 20 products are listed. Okay. So here is the details of the products. So next I'm going to do is to map through each products. So here I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the console, and next after that I'm going to map through this state products. So here I'm going to do as products dot map, and I'm going to return the card. So here I'm going to take each data as products, and I'm going to pass this card into this map as like this way. So I'm going to cut the portion of the card and to paste it inside this map. So now you can see that I'm going to give here the image in the source attribute, that is product prod.image, and here I'm going to give as the type of this each data as any. So now you can see that the error has gone. So after that I'm going to give here as div, and in this div I'm going to use the class name, or I'm going to give the class name. So here I'm going to give the style, that is I'm going to divide this into 5 column, that is grid column 5 as like this way. So now you can see that in the main component we have already divided it into two parts or two rows. So I'm going to remove that. We don't want to divide it into two parts. So I'm going to remove unnecessary div also. So now you can see that here is the product as like this way that we have listed the 20 products. So I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all other parts or other elements as like this way, the title, the text, etc. I'm only giving the image tag there. So now you can see that the product image or card here. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to change the or I'm going to give as the margin left and margin top. So you can see that each card separately. And next I'm going to give the background color. So here first I'm going to give the background color as gray, background gray as like this way. Then after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give the background color for this div of card as white. So now you can see that the structure of our main component or home page as like this way. Here is the card of products. And here I am going to reduce as the margin left for this div as like this way. So now you can see the structure as like this. So next I am going to do is to give the functionality for this search field. So here I am going to take the navbar component, and in the navbar component you can see that this is the, so before that I am going to remove this auth console, and here you can see the div of this search field. So in this you can see there is input field. So here I am going to give that is outline to none. So now you can see that the outline of that search field has gone. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is to give the functionality for this search field or input field. So for that, I'm going to take the main component, and here I'm going to define a new state. So I'm going to give as search set search, which is equal to use state, and I'm going to give the empty string. After that, I'm going to pass this set search into this navbar as a prompt. So at that time, you can see that there will be an error. So we have to use the props in the navbar. So for that, I am going to the navbar component, and here I am going to take it as props as like this way. So now the error is in the navbar component. So next we have to do is to give the type of the props. So here I am going to give as keyword interface, and I am going to give the name of that prop, that is search prop. And I'm going to give the type for the prop, that is set to search to any. So next I'm going to do is to give that search prop to this props as like this way. So now the error has gone. Now we can use that props. So I'm going to use that props dot set to search in the on change of the input field. So here you can see that I'm going to give as props dot set to search, that is e dot target dot value, and I'm going to take the event. After that, I'm going to do is to take the main component. And from the main component, I'm going to pass the search state as a props to the home component as like this way. So next you can see there is an error in the main component. So after that, I'm going to use the props in this home component, and I'm going to give the or define the type of the props that we are using. So here I'm going to give the interface keyword, and I'm going to give the name of the type, that is search prop, and next I'm going to give the type, that is any. So next I'm going to use that search prop to this prop as like this way, and after that I'm going to do is I'm going to use that props. So first of all, I'm going to take the console. Here you can see that the products, each product contains the details such as description, category, ID, price. So there you can see a title. So I'm going to search based on this title of the each product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that console, and here I'm going to use the filter JavaScript method. Inside this filter, I'm going to take each data as product. So product dot title dot includes the method from the JavaScript. So in this includes method, I'm going to give. So here I'm going to give as any for the type for the product, and here I'm going to give as props dot search. So now you can see that here I am going to give the title of the second product. Okay, that is men's casual. So now you can see that I'm going to type it in this search field. At that time you can see the product here. So the search is working fine. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give the details of this each product. So here you can see that they have given the description, this image, then price. So I'm going to do is to give that details. So here I'm going to give or use the h1 tag and I'm going to give as product dot description. And the next I'm going to do is to use the, so here you can see the description as like this way. So next I'm going to give as padding for this div completely. After that I'm going to do is, so here you can see that this is a structure. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to use the substring JavaScript method, and inside the substring method I'm going to do is to give 0 as the first argument, and as a second argument I'm going to copy and paste this product dot description, and I'm going to use the index of method from JavaScript, and inside this index of method I'm giving the space in the string. So next I'm going to add 3 dot with it. So now you can see that here is the description. So after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give a height for this image as like this way. So now you can see that the structure here there is description. Then next I'm going to use an image. So for that I'm going to import this image into this images folder, and next I'm going to import that image into this home component. So here I'm going to import the f from images slash f.png. So we have imported that image into this home component. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to use that image into this image tag source attribute as like this way. So next I'm going to give a class name for this image tag, and inside this class name I'm going to give the width and height of that image. So now you can see that the structure of this image as like this. So next I'm going to use a div and to put this h1 tag and image into that div. Then next I'm going to do is after that I'm going to give a class name that is inside this class name. First of all I'm going to give as flux, and next I'm going to give as items sender. So now you can see that the description and that image aligned in the same line. Okay. So next I'm going to change that width here. Okay. So after that I'm going to do is, okay, it is fine. The next I'm going to do is to give the price. So below that div, I'm going to give the h1 tag, and in the h1 tag, I'm going to give as product dot price. Okay. So here I'm going to give the dollar symbol, and after that, I'm going to give a class name here. So in this class name, I'm going to give the font that is semi bold, and I'm going to give. So here you can see that there is description, image, and price. Okay, fine. So after that, I'm going to give an h1 tag, and next I'm going to give the title also, and here I am going to give as text large. So now you can see that the structure is like this way. So next I'm going to do is here you can see that there is a menu bar. So I'm going to give a menu bar section for our clone. So for that I'm going to create a new component called menu bar.tsx, and here I'm going to give as menu bar as like this way. Then next I'm going to call this menu bar in the main component. So here below this navbar, I am going to call the menu bar component as like this way. So now you can see that the menu bar here. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to take the menu bar component. After that, the images folder of our project. So we have imported 4 images into the images folder. Next, I'm going to import each images into this menu bar component. So first I'm going to import the image called men, that is images/men.jpg. Then next I'm going to import the images called woman, that is images/woman.jpg. After that I'm going to import the image called jewelry from images/jewelry.jpg. Then after that I'm going to import the electronic from images/electronic.jpg. Okay. So next I'm going to do is to use these 4 images in the 4 image tag. So for that I'm going to use the image. So here I am going to give as electronic. Then next I'm going to copy this image tag and to paste for about 3 times. The next I'm going to give each image into this source attribute as like this way: men, jewelry, and woman. So after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give the class name for this first image tag, and in this class name I'm going to give the width and height of that image. So now you can see that the structure as like this way. So I am going to change the height and width. So now you can see the structure as like this. Okay, now it is fine. So next I'm going to give the same class name for each other image tag also. So now you can see that we have given the class name for image tag. So here is the structure of this menu bar. So next I'm going to give the class name for this main div in this menu bar, and here I have given flux. So now you can see that it is aligned in the same line. So after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give margin left for the second image tag as like this way. So I'm going to copy and paste this margin left style to this third and fourth image tag also. So now you can see the structure as like this. So I'm going to give a slight margin left for the first image tag. So now the design of the menu bar is completed. It is fine. So after that, here I am giving the padding also. Okay. So next I'm going to take the home component, and in the home component I am going to console the products state. So I'm going to take the console. So in the console you can see that here is the products. 20 products are listed, which contains the details. So you can see that there is a category that is like men's clothing, jewelry, electronics, and women's clothing. So I have divided, or I have given these menus based on these categories in this menu bar component. Okay. So what I'm going to do is next I'm going to give a text here, that is below this image tag. I'm going to use the h1 tag, and in the h1 tag I'm going to give the title of that menus. Okay. So here I'm going to give as electronics. The next I'm going to use the h1 again, h1 tag, and in the second h1 tag I'm going to give as men, and in the third h1 tag I'm going to give as jewelry as like this way. And in the last h1 tag, or the fourth h1 tag, I am going to give as woman. Okay, so now you can see the structure as like this way. Here is the image tag or image and the title. Okay, so after that I am going to do is use the div tag as like this way. So inside this div tag I am going to cut and paste the image and the h1 tag as like this way. So I am going to use div tag again. So inside each div tag I am going to cut and paste each h1 tag and image as like this way. Okay, so I have used for div and I have pasted the h1 tag and image tag in each div as like this way. So now you can see that the structure of that menu bar is changed. So as of now, you can see that this structure is as like this way. Okay, so next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a margin left for each h1 tag. So here I'm going to give as class name for the h1 tag, and inside this class name I'm going to give as margin left. Okay, I'm going to give class name for each h1 tag here, and I'm going to give the style that is margin left for each h1 tag. So other than you can see that the title of that menus are also aligned well. Okay, fine. So here you can see that I'm going to give a style that is font semi bold for h1 tag as like this way. So I'm going to give this same style for each other h1 tag also. So I'm going to copy and paste this font semi bold to other h1 tag class names. Okay, so now you can see the structure as like this way. It is fine now. So after that, I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to take the main component, and here after the search state, I'm going to define another state that is menu, set menu, use state, and I'm going to pass the empty string. So here I'm going to do is I'm going to pass the set to menu to this menu bar component as a props. So now you can see the error is here. So we have to take it as props here. At that time you can see the error is in the menu bar component. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to define this type of that props that we are passing. So for that I'm going to use the interface keyword. I have given the name of the prop as menu prop. So I have passed it to the props. So now you can see that I have given as set to menu, which is any. Okay, so now we can use the props dot set to menu. So I'm going to use that props dot set to menu in the each div here. So in the on click of each div, I'm going to give as a props dot set to menu. So here in the first div, I'm going to give as electronics, and in the second div, so I'm going to copy and paste this on click in each other div also. So in the second div or second props dot menu, I'm going to give as men as like this way. So here I'm going to give as jewelry, and here I'm going to give as woman. So now you can see that we have given the on click in the menu bar. Next, I'm going to pass that menu to the home component as a prop. So here you can see that there is error. So I'm going to take the props in this home component. So we have already taken the props in the home component. So here I am going to give as the type of the menu as any. Okay. So the error has gone. Now we can use that props.menu here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the condition that is if props.menu is not available, then we have to show this filter method or this map. So otherwise I'm going to do is to copy and paste this same, and I'm going to do is to give, or I'm going to filter based on the product dot category. Okay, so here I'm going to give as props dot menu instead of props dot search. So now you can see that I'm going to click on the electronics. At that time you can see that the products electronic products are listed. So when I click the men icon or men menu, at that time you can see that these products are listed. So when I click the fashion, you can see that products are not listed. So I'm going to take the console. So here you can see that I'm going to take the product. So at that time you can see that it is showing as jewelry. So I think there is a mistake in the spelling. So for that I'm going to take the menu bar component, and here I am going to change it as jewelry as like this way. So here I am going to add a E. Okay. So now you can see that I am going to click on the fashion again. At that time you can see that the jewelry products are listed. So I am clicking woman. So at that time you can see that the products based on woman. So here you can see that when I click the men based menu, at that time all the clothes based on men and women are listed. So I am going to bring some changes. So here, first of all, I'm going to import this image into images folder, and I'm going to delete the men.jpg. After that, I'm going to replace this men by using cloth, that is cloth.jpg. After that, I'm going to replace that men in this image tag also by using cloth. And here I'm going to give as a clothing. So now you can see the structure of the menu bar as like this way. So next what I'm going to do is, here you can see that it is working fine. Okay. So next what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the main component, and in the main component I'm going to pass the set menu to this navbar also. So now you can see the error there. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the navbar, and here I'm going to give the type for that set menu also. So here I'm going to give as set menu, that is any. So the error has gone. So next we can use that props.setMenu. So I'm going to use that props.setMenu in this div of Flipkart title. So here I am going to give as a props.setMenu, that is an empty string. So now when we click that Flipkart title, at that time you can see that all the products are listed as like this way. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to next give that is cursor pointer to this class name as like this way. And I'm going to give this same cursor pointer for the menu bar section also. Here I am going to give as a, I'm going to create a new or use a new class name, and here I am going to give as cursor pointer also. And I'm going to give the cursor pointer for other div also as like this way. So now you can see that I'm going to click on each menu. At that time you can see that cursor pointer there. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is, I'm going to define a new component, that is product details. Product details dot tsx. So here in this component, I'm going to give as product details as like this way. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give the or use the link component from the React router DOM in this home. So I'm going to wrap that complete div by using the link component as like this way. The next I'm going to do is to import that from the React router DOM. So here I'm going to give the two props, that is slash details. So next we have to define that route. So I'm going to take the app component. So in the app component, I'm going to use another route component from the React router DOM as like this way. So in the route, I am going to give as path slash details, and I am going to use the product details component as like this way in the element props. So here, when we click, we will be redirected to the product details component. So next, in the home component, I'm going to pass it as state props through the link component. That is, I'm going to pass as product itself, PROD. So next, in this product details, we have to use that by using use location hook from the React router DOM. So I am going to assign that use location to the location variable, and I am going to console that location as like this way, console.log location. So now you can see that I am going to take the console here. So when I click one of the card or product, at that time you can see that here is the details, that is location.state.product, which contains the details of that particular product. So what I'm going to do is, I am going to use the image tag here first. So in this image tag, I am going to use the source attribute, and I am going to pass the location.state.product.image. Okay. So at that time you can see that here is the image of that product. Okay, fine. So next I'm going to do is, I'm going to give a class name for this image tag, and in this image tag I'm going to give the width, that is 96. So now you can see that it is arranged as like this way. So next I'm going to give other details of this particular product, that is, here I am going to give a div, and inside the div I am going to give the h1 tag, and here I am going to give as location.state.product. title. Okay. So I'm going to copy and paste this h1 tag again for giving other details such as price, description, etc. So here I am going to give as price. Next, I am going to give as location.state.product.description. After that, you can see there is another detail that is rating, that is rating.rate. So I have given that also. Then at last, I am going to give as a category, that is product.category. So now you can see that each details here. So before that, I am going to give a class name for main div, that is flex. And also here I am going to give the class name, that is text black. So now you can see the details here, image and also the details. So next I'm going to bring some changes for this section. So here I'm going to do is in the h1 tag of the price, I have used the dollar symbol. Then next I'm going to give a class name also. That is I'm going to give, that is font, bold and also text. I have increased the size of the text of the price. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So next I'm going to do is, next I'm going to give the class name for this title also. So here I am going to give as text as like this way. So here is the structure. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give the class name for this rating also. Here I am going to give as background green, and also I'm going to give as padding and also the width as like this way. So now you can see the structure here. So I am going to give as text font semi bold. Also I am giving the text white. So now you can see the structure of the rating here. Okay, fine. So after that I am going to do is I am going to cut this category and I am going to put that below the price section. And next I am going to use an image tag after this category. So in this image tag, I am going to use the image that we have already imported in the images folder. So that is, I'm going to import that image into this product details component, that is f from images slash f.png. And I'm going to pass that f in this source attribute. And here I'm going to give as class name, that is width and height, as like this way. Then after that, I'm going to use the div tag and I'm going to put this image and h1 tag inside that div. So now you can see the structure. So here I'm going to give the class name, that is flex and items center. So now you can see the structure as like this way. So I have changed the width and height of that image. So now you can see that as like this. So next what I'm going to do is I am going to take the details of the original Flipkart website. So here you can see that the details is showing as like this way. So here I am going to give, the color of the title as like this way. So here I am going to use the, or I am going to give as a border for this image, that is border spacing. And also I am going to use the shadow. So now you can see the structure as like this way. Here is spacing, that is border and a shadow. Next I'm going to give a padding also. Okay, fine. Then next I'm going to give the padding for the main div as like this way. After that I'm going to do is to give a margin left and margin top for this div. So here you can see that the structure of this product details as like this. Okay, fine. So here I am going to give as two uppercase for the title. So now you can see that uppercase. So we have done the product detail section of the clone. So next you can see that in the website, there is a slider below the menu bar section. So I'm going to create a slider in our clone by using React Responsive Carousel library. So I'm going to search as React Responsive Carousel and I'm going to click on this link of npm. After that, I'm going to copy this command, that is npm I React Responsive Carousel, and I'm going to run that command in the new terminal. So now React Responsive Carousel will be installed into our project. So now you can see that the React Carousel is installed into our project. Okay, so next you can see that I'm going to create a new component called welcome.tsx, and here I am going to do is, in the documentation you can see that there is an example. So I'm going to copy this section, that is carousel, and I'm going to copy and paste that here as like this way. So I'm going to import a carousel component from React Responsive Carousel as like this way. So now you can see that in the project. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to call this welcome component in the main component as like this way. So this is the structure as of now. You can see that this is the raw structure of our carousel component or carousel. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give this style. So for that I'm going to copy and paste this section of style in the welcome component as like this way. So now you can see that the style has changed. Style of this carousel has changed. You can see the slider as like this way. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to import image from my system. So I'm going to import these images into this images folder as like this way. So after that I'm going to do is import these images or banner into this welcome component, that is import banner 1 from images slash banner 1, and I'm going to import banner 2 and 3 as like this way. So I am going to replace banner 1 by using banner 2 and banner 3 dot jpg. Okay. So next I'm going to use these banners in the source attribute of this image tag. So here I'm going to use the banner 1. Then next I'm going to use the banner 2. And at last I'm going to use the banner 3 in the source attribute of the third image tag as like this way. Okay. So now you can see that the structure of our project as like this way. So here you can see that in the bottom there is a section. So I'm going to remove this section. We don't want this section, particular section. So I'm going to do is I'm going to give a props for this carousel component, that is show thumbs to false. So at that time you can see that that section has gone. Okay. So next I'm going to remove this another section, that is legend, that we have given here. So for that I'm going to remove this p tag from here. Okay, fine. So you can see that that has also gone. So next I'm going to reduce the size of the each banner. So for that I'm going to give the class name for the div and also for the image tag, that is I'm giving height. So I'm going to copy this class name and to paste it in the image tag and also in the other div and the image tag also. So now you can see that I have given the class name, that is height. So here you can see that the height of the banner has reduced as like this way. So when we click here, you can see that it will slide. We can also click in the arrow section of the side in the side. So at that time also this slide will happen. Okay. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to give a prop, that is autoplay to true. And also I'm going to give another prop, that is infinite loop to true. So at that time you can see that this slide will work automatically as like this way in infinite. Okay, fine. So this is the structure of our project as of now. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sign in component, and here you can see that in the verify OTP function, I'm going to navigate it. So for that, I'm going to use the use navigate hook from React router DOM. And I'm going to assign that use navigate to navigate variable. Then after this user.confirm, I'm going to use that navigate it. So for that, I'm going to give the condition that is auth.current user dot phone number is true. Then only we have to navigate to the main page. Okay. So I'm going to remove this data from here. So now you can see that we have navigated after signing. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to take the navbar, and in the navbar you can see that this is the logout section or div. So I'm going to give a condition for this logout section also, that is auth.current user dot phone number. If auth.current user dot phone number is true, then only we have to show that div of logout. Then here you can see that this is sign in section. Here also I am going to give the condition that is if auth.current user dot phone number property is false, then only we have to show the div of sign in as like this way. So now you can see that as of now the user is logged in. At that time you can see the logout button in the navbar. Okay, we cannot see the sign in button. So next I'm going to do is to use the React Toastify library, and I'm going to do is to click on this npm link, and I'm going to copy this command from here, that is npm I React Toastify, and to run that in the new terminal. So now React Toastify will be installed into our project. So you can see that React Toastify in the package.json file as like this way. Okay. So next I'm going to do is here you can see that in the documentation there is an example. So we have to use the toast container component and also the toast function as like this way. So first of all, I'm going to import toast container toast and also the style. Okay, so I have copied and pasted in this Navbar component as like this way. Then I'm going to do is I'm going to use the toast container or call the toast container here. Then after that I'm going to do is I'm going to use the toast function. So I'm going to use the toast function after this sign out function as like this way. So here I'm going to give as logged out successfully. Here I'm going to give that is toast dot success. Next I'm going to take the sign in component, and here I am going to give the toast dot success, that is signed in successfully. Okay. So now you can see that here I am going to do is I am going to give as here you can see that the alignment of navbar is changed. So I'm going to do is I'm going to take the navbar component, and here I'm going to change the toast container from there and to put above the whole div as like this way. So I'm going to cut this toast container from there and to put above this div. So now you can see that the alignment of the navbar is correct. So after that, I'm going to do is here you can see that I am going to give a cursor pointer style for this logout div as like this way. So now you can see that I'm going to click on this logout button. At that time, you can see that the user is logged out and it is showing as logged out successfully. Okay, fine. So here in the toast container component, I'm going to give an auto clause that is 2000 as like this way. So now you can see that it is showing as logged out successfully. Okay. So at that time, you can see that as of now, there is no logout button. You can see the sign in button here. Okay. So next I'm going to do is when we take the website, you can see that there is a footer as like this way. So next I'm going to create a footer as like this. So for that I'm going to create a component named footer.tsx. And after that I'm going to do is I'm going to call this footer component in the main component. So here I'm going to give as or I'm going to call the footer after this home component as like this way. So now you can see that I'm going to give here as footer in the footer component. So in the project, you can see that here is the footer as like this way. So next I'm going to give a color, that is background color. So here I'm going to give as class name background gray as like this way. So now you can see that here is the background color of the footer. So next I'm going to do is to give a text in the center of the footer. That is I'm going to give as Flipkart clone. So I'm going to change it as Flipkart clone as like this way. So next I'm going to give a style that is in this class name. I'm going to give as text white. So here is the Flipkart clone. The next I'm going to do is to give text small. Okay, fine. Then after that I'm going to do is I'm going to give the text center. Okay. So now you can see it in the center of the footer. The next I'm going to give a padding also. So this is a structure of our project as of now.
If this video is helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel